Good evening. It's Monday, February 23rd, and this is a meeting of the Southborough Planning Board. The Planning Board is now in session. The first item on the agenda is a discussion item, ADU bylaw update.
Want me to give you a
Karina?
quick briefing? Sure.
Yeah.
Just be forewarned, I don't have my files here with me because I took my laptop home, but I didn't take my crate of stuff. I anticipated being able to go get it, but I didn't. So the ADU bylaw, last thing that happened is that Lara Davis updated the text to meet the 12,000 square foot threshold that was discussed at the last planning board meeting. And I think that was discussed at the ZBA meeting on the 11th. And they agreed and they provided an updated bylaw, which is in the Dropbox, which was emailed to everybody. And it's up to 1,200 square feet. Does I say it's 12,000? Up to 1,200 square feet gross floor area, not to exceed the primary dwelling unit.
And Doris is here from the ZBA, if you want to bring her over, Colleen.
Yes, and Doris also, via Lara, sent us a spreadsheet that compared ADUs, sizes,
David.
type, etc., which was also in the Dropbox and emailed to you. And there was a summary of what that spreadsheet showed. And that's where we are. So it's going to be a public hearing opening on March 9th. We posted the legal ad already in the newspaper, so it should be running today and next Monday with the public hearing opening on the 9th.
Very good. I see Doris and both the ZBA chair, David Williams, are here. Do either or both of you want to offer any comment?
Good evening, Mimi. I don't think I'm viewable, but I'm here. So I don't, we made changes based on your suggestions at our last meeting, and so Laura went through and made a pretty detailed draft of the changes to it. I didn't really see any problems with it. I don't know if that's been shared with the board or not, but
Yeah.
okay, you're nodding yes, yeah. So the idea of saying, hey, 1,200 square feet, eliminate the special permit. I couldn't see that there was anything wrong with it, but I'll let Doris weigh in on what she saw.
Okay, thank you. Doris?
Hi, good evening. So I'm getting feedback. Is anybody else getting feedback?
No.
Okay, so I'll just talk over it.
You are in the waiting room twice, just so you know. I see you twice.
Could be a
Interesting.
problem.
Okay, so we did meet, was it last week? And I know Laura sent the revisions over to Karina, and I didn't see any real problems with the revisions. It accomplished the changes we discussed, 1,200 square feet, no larger than the main house. And really just going through the detail of removing it from special permit in all areas of the code. And David, Laura had run it by legal that we reserve a spot in the warrant so we don't have to redigitize
Correct.
the entire zoning code for that.
Right, and there are other
Zone
spots in the
removal.
code where they do that, where they reserve it.
Yeah, and town
Yes,
council was fine
we're
with that.
feeling good about it. We feel
Yes,
good
they
about
are.
this change,
Okay,
So,
very good. Thank you.
yeah.
Ms. Houlihan.
Yeah, so saw the red line version, so I think it makes the most sense. It makes it really easy, simplifies the administrative process for ADU, and so I think it's fantastic. So the only question that or not question, the only thing that I would say is, as this finalizes, as we've learned, you start to find ADU elsewhere in the town code where you may not ever have suspected it. So I would just say maybe if there's another set of eyes to go through town code and look through all the different possibilities. ADU is an abbreviation, accessory dwelling unit, and go through all the code because inevitably it's there. It might not be encapsulated in your red line version. So that's my only warning, having written several of these. But I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful thing for the town that you've raised it to 1,200 square feet. And thank you for the very detailed Excel spreadsheet of the accessory dwelling units that have been built so far. So I think that was really helpful for us. That's all I have.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion, Marnie.
Thank you. Mr. Murray.
Yeah, hi. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining. I think it looks great. The original intention was for this to be used. I think you guys have done a great job. I really like it and hope that it's simpler for people, gives more visibility to it, socializes a bit. Maybe people will understand they can use it. And I think you did a great job. Thank you. I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Braccio.
Thank you. As well, I think you did a great job. I just have one question. You may have answered it prior to my coming into the meeting. I think the spreadsheet was excellent as I went through it. My only question was, are these, since the ADU bylaw passed, that all of these units have been done, or some of these were accessory apartments that are now included in?
Doris, you want to answer that? Uh-oh. Doris, you with us?
It says connecting, but I can't hear her.
Okay. Yeah, so that's
Here she
something she'll
is.
have to answer.
She just
I know
joined
more. She
again.
knows more about it. Okay, thanks.
She just showed up twice into the attendees again, so she might be able to talk now.
And again, she may have answered the question already. I just,
Nope.
Okay.
Doris,
Doris,
can you
did
hear?
you hear that question about the spreadsheet? And can you respond?
She's coming up in the screen. Colleen, do you have Doris muted?
No.
It's not a big deal. I can find out the answer to it
Here
offline. I
she
just,
comes. I
Okay.
think maybe she has some local connection issue, but I see her
She just has to
video.
unmute herself.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Doris? Do you want to take a crack at that, David?
I would. What sort of level of numbers were they, Lisa, that you're seeing in the spreadsheet? Because this is really more. To be fair, this has really been more Doris and Mike's thing. So
I'm back
I'm not
on.
as familiar with.
Oh,
There
there
she
you
is.
are.
There
Yeah.
you go.
The answer some of
I
those.
get reverb, but I'm gonna live through it.
Yeah.
So the spreadsheet is very up to date. Last ADU that went through was last June, I believe. And I don't know if that answers Lisa's question.
But are these all the
Are they-
ADUs in town, not just since the
That's an excellent question. Yeah, I believe Lara worked with the assessor's office, and we were surprised at the low count. There's 34.
Okay.
All this for 34, but there could be ADUs that come up and present, but that's what the list was.
Okay,
So
thank you.
if I can just add, Lisa, in the email, I think it said these are only ADUs permitted through ZBA with the exception of the last three, which are only permitted through the building department by right as they qualify under the state regs. I know there was a question on whether we have had and apply for by right ADUs, and those are the only three to date. We have created the ability to pull reports on that from OpenGov. So if you ever need an updated number, just let us know. So those are all the ADUs permitted through the ZBA, if
Okay,
that
thank
makes a
you.
difference. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Belniak.
No comments. I thought it was great that you put in the line for reserved. That way we don't have to renumber everything. Otherwise, it looks great.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. Thanks for the work on this. And I think just having the 1,200 square feet by right simplifies it and makes it easier. I only had one question. Should we address only one ADU per lot? Or should we leave it open?
Isn't that in the general code that we say it's only one ADU per lot?
It's in what is it, the historical section of the bylaw. I think it clearly states that, but I mean, you might be right about that, Mimi. Let me
Yeah,
see.
because I know it was under special permit and we're taking that out. So I'm wondering if we should note that under by right.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just my opinion. Everyone else can disagree, but that would be my one.
So can you clarify then? So we're saying, so right now it's one by right, two or more special permit. Are we saying to keep it or change it?
So right now, the way the code is, you can only have one ADU per lot. And the special permit allows you to go bigger than the state regs.
So is the question to keep that as is, or is the question to modify special permit to allow more than one? I guess I'm not sure what part are we looking to discuss?
We don't have any special
Yeah.
permit section now.
So the question is, for the
Oh.
by rights, do we only want one ADU per lot by right? Or can someone do 3 1,200 square foot ADUs on their lot? That's the question I'm asking, and whether we should clarify that. I think the state's intention is one ADU per
Yeah.
lot.
I'm
It
with
would
him.
seem to be
Yeah.
a good strategy to clearly state one per lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Is everyone else in agreement with that? Okay.
Yeah, if that's the state's guideline, I say sure, because that's been 3/4 of the reason that we're doing this. But if that's not stated there, I guess I wouldn't see a reason otherwise to force it to one. But again, if what you're saying, David, is that's what the state's saying, or if that's what other people are saying, then okay.
It's probably the intent. I mean, just for the bylaw now for accessory apartment doesn't say anything. Well, by special permit allows accessory apartment. I don't see language right now that says only one per lot, but that doesn't mean I think it's a bad idea to put it in there, to be really clear. Oh, when do we have to have the final wording for the town meeting? I forget now.
Oh, goodness. I believe that by the March 7th, somewhere in between the 7th and the 17th, it goes to the select board for the warrant gets signed, and then it has to get printed. I'll have to confirm that with you, David. Let me see if I
Okay.
can look up the calendar. I don't have my calendar with me here, so I can confirm that.
Okay.
Okay. And I just wanted to make everyone aware that the Attorney General did approve mostly the ADU bylaw that went through
Article 9,
Article
special
9.
town meeting, 2025.
Yeah. But they struck we had a prohibition on
Mobile homes.
trailers in mobile homes, and they struck mobile homes.
Okay.
So does anyone else have any question or comment on ADU?
So just noticing our next meeting date is, I think that was March 9th. If the bylaw language is due March 7th, we would ask the ZBA if we can include that, just to clarify that was one unit before submitting it, because we won't see it again then.
Yeah. I want to make sure and I don't think we have a meeting scheduled before then either. So I don't know how we can deliberate that, but we might, I don't know. I'll have
I'm
to,
gonna-
raise it with them.
I'm going to see if I can confirm it right now. I have an email from the treasurer that gave us the warrant calendar for this year. Let me just see if I can find it quickly here. Budget calendar for fiscal year 2027 is, give me one second. Okay, so the warrant opened December 16th. Warrant closed on March 10th. Warrant to be signed by Select Board March 17th. Warrant to printer March 18th. So I think we still have March 9th.
We have
And
another
then-
hearing on the 9th, yeah.
Yeah, and then it should go immediately to the Select Board for their last meeting before they sign it, or for the meeting they do sign it. And then Town Council has to have a chance to review everything as well.
Karina, if I could just add, so for CPC, Mark Purple told us that he wanted it as close to the end of February and beginning of March as possible, so town council has ample time to review the actual warrant article. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's what I was told by Mark less than a week ago.
So in one of my first thoughts, Lisa, is to make sure we involve Jay in that language. So my intention was I clearly like to go back to him and get his opinion on it. Which I think will help with the concern that you have, that make sure he's not in the dark about it.
Well, I think that he has reviewed this. I think Lara sent
Yeah.
it to him.
He has, yeah. I think my first response is I want to ask him specifically about the need for the language in there
Oh,
to
okay.
say limited it to one. That's
All right.
all.
And David, if I could even offer another suggestion, town council has office hours on Wednesday from 2 to 4. That might be your
Right.
quickest bet to get a quick answer if you have time and are available.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the suggestion, Lisa.
All right. I don't see any hands raised. Do you see any hands raised, Colleen?
Nope. Everybody's.
Okay. Thank you, Doris and David.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a discussion item, Tricentennial Committee signs.
Okay. All right, let's see. Do we have Patty Fiore? Colleen, Patty's there, PBF iPhone in the attendees.
Okay.
And I just see Patty. So the bylaw, the warrant article, we posted a legal ad in the paper, publishing today and next Monday for March 9th, public hearing opening. Patty had provided an updated draft warrant article that was distributed to the planning board, and it's also in the meeting packet for tonight on the agenda website. The current version is February 12th, 2026, and it had included some revisions that were discussed at the last meeting. And then also, I believe Vanessa added who it was proposed by the select board, proposed by language, just to standard warrant article language at the end. So Patty, maybe she can explain what was exactly revised.
Sure. Welcome, Patty.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm on my
Thanks.
iPhone. I still have no internet,
Oh, sorry.
wiped out by the snow.
Oh.
So that was the only change that I got from Vanessa, was to do or act in relation thereto. And I think that it's supposed to be proposed by the select board and then recommended by, then just tracking what their recommendations were. That's all. they didn't make any substantive changes at all.
Great, thank you.
I also believe town council reviewed this version previously, but not the current state. I sent it to him earlier this afternoon to see if he had any remaining comments, maybe.
Okay,
All right,
Thank you.
sorry. You're welcome.
Ms. Houlihan.
No questions, looks simple.
Ms. DeMaria.
No comments, no questions. Thanks, Patty.
Ms. Braccio.
Thank you, Patty. No comments or questions either. Thank you.
And Mr. Belniak.
Same, no comments, no questions. Thank you.
And I'd say thank you, Patty. You did a nice job on this, and I think it's very clear and simple. And my only question would be on the numbering 17411C16.
Yes.
So there's nothing at 17416. Like the way the rest of it goes, it's like 17411C15 would be like awning signs, and then subject to the following, and then it would have all the A, B, C. So I'm just
I'm
wondering
not
maybe
sure off the top of my head. Yeah.
wondering if council could just make sure that the numbering is correct with the code. That's all. I think
So you mean
I
the
think
first
it's great.
part, do you mean the first part should be just 174-11C16 and then the sunset should be the A? Is that what you're saying?
Well, like 17411C16, like tricentennial banner
sign.
signage. And
Oh,
then
I see.
and I would put underneath it all the notwithstanding, blah, 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 and then subject to the following, and then A, all banners, da, 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 and then B, the sunset provision. That's what makes sense to
I don't have a lot of experience writing bylaws, so I am
No.
certainly open to comments and suggestions. So
Well, you did a great job.
Thank you. And I want to just say that I really appreciate the support of the planning board. I'm sure the entire Tricentennial Committee does. And, the support not only of getting this article done, but in supporting it to move it forward. I think this is going to be a good thing for the town to raise awareness of the Tricentennial and all the events that we have planned throughout the entire year.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. So does anyone in attendance have any questions or comments on the tricentennial sign bylaw? I do not see any hands raised. Do you see any hands raised, Colleen?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you, Patty. I hope you
Thank
get
you.
your internet soon.
Me too. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing, 352 Turnpike Road, Disability Assistance and Vocational Education, Inc., major site plan approval. You want to bring us up to date on this one?
Yes. So we were continued at the last meeting on February 9th as George Banan, attorney representing the project, was working on a lighting plan and getting us some additional information on the residential component. The information on the residential component was provided to town council as a follow-up to confirm that it was the information was sufficient to qualify it under the Dover, and town council opined that it was appropriate for the Dover, the way it was presented. The other thing is we received a lighting plan from George. I believe it was Thursday and Friday, which Marnie had a chance to review, and I'll let Marnie speak to that more, but it seems to be in order. I think, not having my notes here, the Board of Health had opined that the septic system still had the capacity to meet the demand. And that's what I recall. So. Let me see if George is in the attendees.
Hi, Karina, I'm here.
You are there. Okay. Hi, George. I'm without my paperwork, so
You did
I'll
a
rely.
did a very good job. For the record, my name is George Bonnet. I'm here on behalf of Disability um, Assistance and Vocational Education, Inc. Um, I think Karina basically stated everything correctly. I'll just go over a quick summary. I'm going to reiterate some things, but um, I had answered several questions the board had asked at our initial hearing, which was 2 hearings ago at this point. Um, Marnie had asked for a lighting plan, which Karina correctly stated I provided Thursday or Friday, or Thursday and Friday rather, and Marnie had a chance to opine on it, and she said that it looks, quote, good to go, but I'll let her speak to that if she wants to expand on that. Um, so I think we're at a stage, I don't think there are any questions left unanswered, except for maybe conditioning the third party sprinkler system review as part of the special permit approval. But I don't know if you all have had a chance to discuss that with the fire department. I think it was left that maybe you were going to reach out and make sure that was okay. But at the last hearing, you seem to be okay with it. But um, I think that's where we are. So I don't have anything further to add at this point. So I'll turn it over to the board.
I was also going to follow up with the EOHLC on the subsidized housing inventory, which I have not had a chance to yet. I hope to do that this week.
Okay, Ms. Houlihan.
Hi. Hi, George. Nice to see you. You summarized my feedback accurately, and my only point was just to say my recollection was there was no ask specific to adding more lighting. You documented the lighting on the premises, and I just wanted to make sure that your team felt that was safe for the new use, and if that was, what is there meets the safety kind of needs for some of those people that are staying overnight, etc., then it's fine. But if you needed more lighting, you do have room to operate. So the new lighting plan that was provided is a really good photometric plan. They used the hardscape table as we've always asked, and it really hit all the marks. So I was very pleased with it, and I have no other questions, assuming that lighting is safe as it is.
Great. Yeah, no, and we think it's safe and it's all existing lighting in the parking lot is well lit as it is. So um we're not proposing any further lighting changes.
Well, thanks for doing that. I think it's good to have it on record. Looking at the 1988 plan, there was obviously no record of any of that, so I know it was a bit of a burden, but appreciate that as it is part of even the Dover amendment. So thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Maria.
Hi, George. Good to see you.
You as well.
No, thank you for the additional information. I don't have any questions for you tonight. As you know, I've mentioned I support this project and pleased to see it progressing along. So thanks for working with us on it. And yeah, no questions for you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Braschi.
Thank you, Karina. You answered the one question that I had. You're going to get the answer to about the housing. I just want to say, George, I think this is really a great use. And do you know, do they have a time frame on when they're looking to open? You may have answered this before, but I didn't make a note of it.
You know, they don't have a time frame right now. It's heavily reliant on construction next. So we'll have a better idea once they have a better idea, but that is not my department. So once it gets to the next phase, we'll know more. But I think they're aiming for this year, within the year.
Thank you. I think it's a great use and there's a great need for this. So I think it's great and I look forward to supporting it. Thank you.
Mr. Belnia.
Thank you. Good to see you, George. I don't have any comments. If I did, I would probably defer to our lighting expert, Marnie, but I did look things over and things look fine. And like everyone else, I support the use. So nothing else. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Karina, has the fire department responded? They wanted similar uses and George gave them a very, very long list. Have they responded at all to that
No.
information?
Not yet, but they did get the information.
Okay.
And I know that their intent was to contact some of these other locations to get an understanding of the projects and see what the pros and cons were and what they should watch out for, et cetera. So what I can do is we'll follow up with the fire chief and Captain Dano as well to see where they stand on that. We'll do that this week.
Okay, so do you foresee the possibility that anything that they would come up with would be something that we would need to condition, or would that be something handled through the fire department?
My guess is that if they are on board with, if the fire department's on board with us conditioning the request that they had in their original memo, which was to have a
For the
third-party
third-party
consultant.
review?
Yeah, that's one thing that they already documented. They were requesting that that happen. If they're on board with it being a condition of approval that it happens at the building permit, which typically is where it happens, then I think that would be good. Anything else that I'm aware of, because they've already submitted their comments and are aware of the project, could be handled in the building permit phase. I think the building code requires quite a few things for them to address when they have residential, multi-residential units like that they're proposing.
So have they been asked if they're okay with conditioning that third-party review?
George, did you ask them about conditioning that?
No,
No.
I guess I may have in my email that I had sent to this board and Captain Dano and the chief at the same time. When I sent them that long list, I spoke to conditioning their ask into the special permit, or sorry, the site plan.
Let me.
I don't know if
I'm just looking up your
they didn't
email
respond
here.
to it. Mhm.
Let's see here. I had emailed the fire department. Hold on. Just trying to see it here.
Yeah,
Oh
so I
no,
think
that's the email I sent saying review of the sprinkler system, make appropriate changes. This should be reviewed by third party fire. Okay, that was an initial one. So no, it hasn't been it hasn't been confirmed that the fire department is aware that we would condition it.
well, they did get that, they were copied on that email from George.
Yeah, okay.
So do
That's
you
correct.
see a downside at conditioning it? I would think that this would be something that makes sense to have a condition before the building permit is issued.
I think so too. I don't think that's an unusual way to handle it. You wouldn't do it now because as George has explained at the prior meetings that if something happens and the project doesn't move forward to the building permit stage, they would have spent all this money on doing this third-party consultant review, which could be quite costly, and then for nothing. So it's more appropriate that it would happen, as part of the building permit phase.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Does that make sense to the rest of the board? Yeah, okay. So is there any other reason to keep the hearing open? Or any reason to keep the hearing open?
Well, I would just say that as I draft the decision, I'll use the standard conditions and anything else that I'm aware of that comes up as I look through the notes. And then typically I'll send a draft to George and to the planning board members.
Oh, and the other question is on the lighting, George.
Mhm.
Is there going to be any 24/7 lighting?
I'm not requesting it, but earlier when I was discussing it with Marnie, the thought had crossed my mind, and I think sitting here now, I think I have to request it if it's going to be residential. Um, and the whole point of kind of the lighting discussion was the safety of the residents. I think this circumstance, this instant makes sense to request a 24/7 waiver to the extent I can. and I think I can. We've obviously done it in the back nine site plan.
So are you asking that all the lights be on 24/7?
I don't think so.
We can limit it,
Yeah.
and we can limit it to the lights closest to the entrances. So I don't, you know, it, we could do this one of two ways. We could continue the hearing, keep it open, continue it, and I can identify the lights that I would like
Keep
on
on.
throughout the night, open, yeah, open 24/7. Or I could defer to Karina and she could identify some of the lights in her best judgment, or maybe in speaking with you, Madam Chair, behind closed doors, um, in compliance with open meeting law. So, and I think we'd be okay with that. I think, you would be identifying the lights that would be in the best interest of future residents there, and I think I'd be comfortable with that.
Well,
If
I just want to speak to that, George. So, perhaps your engineer could propose the lights and then the planning board responds to it. Because if it's the planning board picking the lights and anything ever happens, it appears it would shift the liability to who chose those lights.
Sure.
If you propose something and the planning board agrees, that sounds appropriate based on your experts, your engineer's opinion is probably more appropriate, right?
Yeah, no.
Mhm.
So we'd go with the former option then, where we would just continue the hearing, and I'd come back with it'll happen this week. I'll forward you all maybe the same lighting plan, but circled the lights that I'd like on 24/7, and we can discuss it at the next hearing.
Okay.
That would
yeah.
also give us the opportunity to follow up with the fire department on the condition. And if I can get some feedback from EOHLC, even though whether it's SHI or not is not a function of approval, it's just
Yeah.
informational, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we could have the decision at our
Drafted.
That's fine.
next
That's
hearing
fine.
to go
Mhm.
through. Yeah, that
Thank
sounds
you.
like the best course of action to me. Is everyone else okay with that? Ms.
Mm.
Houlihan?
My only hesitation is I will be physically not present at the next hearing. And I can't call in. I'll be on an airplane.
Well, if George supplies us the plan ahead of time, we can pass it by you and you can provide your comment. And then we could take your comments during the meeting. We'll have a document, your email or some comment on it, if that works for Mimi.
Or should we have our next meeting in Florida?
Don't say
Given the storm today, it's not a bad idea.
it.
So does that work, Marnie?
Yeah, I think
If
that's
George
fine
gets
for
it
me.
this week,
Yeah, I think that's fine as long as that could work. I mean, I could do it up until honestly, 4 o'clock that day, but then I hop on an airplane. So I think at any point you can get it to me. I can provide my feedback.
I'll have it to
Okay.
you no later by Thursday than
Oh,
Thursday. Yeah,
perfect.
it's something pretty simple.
Yeah, and it's not like it's affecting the lighting
Correct.
trespass or anything or the hardscape calc. It's just selecting which are the appropriate lights that would be least offensive to abutters, but also effective for the residential use.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we
So I
want to?
make a motion to continue the oh, do we have
Oh, I'm
any?
sorry. Does anyone else, any attendees have any questions or comments?
We have 9 attendees, no hands raised.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Marnie. Go ahead.
No, I was very excited to continue the public hearing. So I make a motion to continue the public hearing until March 9th. Actually, we have to extend the decision due dates because
Yes.
decision due dates are
yeah.
March 8th. So can we make that motion to extend the decision due dates to it would be that Friday of the March 9th week, right? Which would be
There's
Friday.
an extension. I
13th.
think there's a copy of the extension request. Is it in the Dropbox?
Let me look.
You have to make a motion and vote on extensions,
Yeah.
Yes.
just for my own clarification. Okay.
Yep. Hold on. I'll pull it up, Marnie. I'm gonna find it so I can just tell you the exact date and time. 3:52. Just bear with me. legal
I
extension.
have it if you'd like me to say, Karina. It's
Oh, you do have it. I have
yeah,
it. Okay.
it's extended to March 27th.
Oh, March 27th. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes, from March 8th to March 27th. So it would be continuing March 9th at 6:45 p.m.
Okay,
with
so
action deadline.
okay, so do I need to make a motion that we're extending the decision due date, or that's already been signed off to March 27th?
No, you have to make a motion to.
Okay. So I'm
To
going to
vote
make a
that.
motion to extend the decision due date for 352 Turnpike Road, MSPA 60 days to March, well, it's not 60 days, March 27th, 2026.
And I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brashear, yes.
Dukenyak, yes.
I make a motion to extend the public hearing for 352 Turnpike Road, Disability Assistance and Vocational Education Incorporated, major site plan approval for change of use to 6:45 p.m. on March 9th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brashear, yes.
Dukenyak, yes.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
George.
Thanks, George.
Okay. We'll talk.
Mhm.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing, industrial park expanded uses. Karina?
Sure. Let me just get to the job box for a second. So this was continued from the prior meeting on February 9th. And we currently have our most current draft version is dated February 11th, 2026, version 3. We had received Board of Health comments and a memo in support of the expanded uses. We also received some feedback from Attorney Bob Buckley, who provided some personal comments, not as part of the Costco team, but generally looking at the bylaw language, which I distributed to the planning board members. And I provided you a red line so you could see what his comments were. And then Marnie provided some highlights for the members and a comment. So there were documents in there showing some highlights about the IP uses. Marnie, maybe you can expound on those when the time comes. So here we are. It has the same deadlines to get this into the warrant as we discussed earlier. And that's where we are. I
Okay.
believe the town council still needs to review this again.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Houlihan.
You're welcome.
Yes, hi. So for anybody who's new and listening in, this is for a planning board bylaw a request to update our current industrial park zoning. And it's a pretty extensive update. And what I like to do is I'm going to share my screen, which highlights kind of the new and the old. And so what you see here is what the industrial zone, industrial park had, its old bylaw, and then the proposed. And then I'd like to spend just a few minutes on kind of the really radical change, I would say, that exists, which includes the energy facility as well as data centers. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. So from a structure and intent, the old IP bylaw was really a short list of uses, limited detail. There were really no performance standards, and it was a by right up to 50,000, and then after 50,000 was a permit requirement. The proposed is a full reformatting. It adds a lot more performance standards, which includes noise, vibration, odor, and some emissions in a general concept. It modernizes the uses and really kind of pulls up that early 90s language from like night watchman to something a little bit more palatable and what is actually truly happening in our economy and the macro environment. And it adds by right up to 75,000 square feet, and it adds these energy facilities, as I mentioned, and data centers. Data centers would be special permit. One thing that I will call out is so Bob Buckley, who is an attorney that represents the management companies that's sponsoring the Costco site, offered his attorney eyes on this, which is always invaluable because we like that in zoning. He actually deferred back to 50,000 square feet, which I thought was interesting in his. I didn't spend a lot of time with his changes because I only saw them today. But I do think that's something we should kind of revisit, that 50,000. If you have an attorney who writes bylaws all the time and he's suggesting go back to 50,000, I think it's something for note this planning board should comment on this evening. And I'll ask you specifically to do so. We've added these performance standards. And again, we've kind of dealt with some of these, and it's a very general sense, and we can certainly pull up the bylaw so people can see that. By right uses. The old bylaw had these conservation uses, the Watchman dwelling, employee cafeteria, printing, R&D, some very old language. And so we've really included schools, childcare, assisted living, recreation, arts and fitness, digital services, service providers, attorneys, financing, consultants, those kind of things, clinics and labs. That didn't require overnight facilities, auto sales, repair, fueling. So we've really kind of extended the use of by right. In special permit, in the old bylaw, it was over 50,000 square foot. Accessory apartment, we have removed that with the ADU that was approved. We've removed ADUs from the IP district anyway, so that's not there to begin with. Two-family conversions, this kind of list of things that exists. And we've really kind of, again, expanded it a little bit to be proactive in thinking about what other things might be interesting to come into town in our industrial park district and that we'd want into town. And so that's include things like, and I hope this is large enough, I can expand it a little bit better. That's better. Retail with on-site manufacturing. So like someone wants to open a cookie place that has, cookie baking in the back, or you're opening a widget and you want to make the widgets in the back room. That's something that's you're able to do. Early kind of and late clinicals and preclinical stuff for biotech and pharmaceutical and medical device companies, which I think is also an increasingly growing need. Maybe not so much in Southborough, but it definitely is a growing need. Would be nice to be able to answer some of those requirements. Research and manufacturing, research and development, other manufacturing. There is a hazardous waste in there, but that's the same hazardous waste that was in our old bylaw. And so I think we just chose not to remove it. And then data centers we'll talk about. Dimensional standards, we don't change them except for data centers. One thing that I will say, I did have some conversations with local residents around the BESS, the energy facilities, and there was concern that a setback would only be, 50 feet to 75 feet to abutting neighborhood. So if you're in a residential district and you're abutting an industrial park district, the request was, can we move the BESS to like 1,000 feet? And have a setback from a residential zone. And I think that's a very viable and realistic request. And I think that's the other second request above this 50,000 I'd like the planning board to discuss is to make a setback specific and maybe talk about dimensional standards specific to the BESS. Because in there is a CMR being drafted at the state level, which is by right availability to kind of build those, but they don't put any requirements in. So I think we should probably think about that. Marijuana establishments, again, we prohibit adult recreational use, only medical permitted. That would be stay in there and just restate it for clarity. The BESS and the data centers are not currently addressed. The BESS is there because we know that it is going in kind of from a statewide initiative. So we wanted to also be proactive and have in-town requirements to support that that are not in conflict with the state regulations. And that's really where Laura Davis from the ZBA and Taylor from the Board of Health were super helpful in providing their feedback for us. So we've revised that. And then the last thing in the industrial park district is data centers. And if you've been watching the news, if you've been seeing anything about data centers, they're all over the place. They tend to take like 500, football fields worth of acreage to build data centers. They're looking for very large, very big centers. However, it doesn't preclude them from coming to small towns and trying to put data centers in. And so we are trying to be proactive here and be really aggressive around what we would expect. I think based on what we have, we are very aggressive in our language on data centers. And then the one thing that I might add in is something around utility pricing, because what I'm hearing is many data centers that are going in around the country are actually not covering their utility center, and it's going to the residents of the town, and their utility prices are going up significantly. I don't think we want that, so I think we should probably write something in our bylaw to kind of keep utility prices somehow. I don't know if we can do that, but that's very worrisome for me. And then the setbacks, maybe we set them farther back because some of the earlier data centers went in have a recurring hum and noise to them. So I think we should also think about setbacks that are increased even further than 300 to 400 square feet and maybe go to the 1,000 feet as recommended by some of my conversations that came out of BESS. So that's just kind of the high level comparison. And there will be a presentation deck. I just haven't had a chance to create that for town meeting. I will, I'm not attending the March 9th meeting, but I can certainly give that presentation to someone to share or walk through. I think it would be very simple for someone to walk through. And then it'll be similar to the information that I've shared. So I'll stop right now, and then Mimi, my major questions are around the 50,000 square foot threshold, the 1,000-foot setbacks around residential for the energy facilities, and then increasing the setbacks around the data centers also to 1,000 feet of residential zones.
My only question on the BESS would be, that's a Dover use, and I don't know if that would be in conflict to have a different setback for that than is required in the district.
Yeah, I
So
don't
that would
know.
be have to be something that I guess ask council
Town
about.
council to opine on. Okay.
Okay, I'll send a request to town council with that if you'd like.
I can summarize the request, Karina, so it's easy for you to copy and paste because I know you have a lot on your plate. So I'll do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take it.
Mr. Maria.
Marnie, I started to get a little confused, I'll be honest, about, I mean, we're really changing industrial park, which I think is for the better. But I do have some concerns on data centers and BESS. And so I started looking at, neighboring towns and the 59 data centers around Massachusetts, and many of them are in industrial zones and not industrial parks. And I don't know for sure because not every town has industrial park. They have light industrial, they've got commercial, they might have different zoning. And so I wanted to ask you that question, whether, you've looked into what zones are these data centers and BESS located in other towns. I have more concerns, I think, over BESS than data centers, because I think that more data centers are in industrial parks, and in some cases, industrial parks are located within an industrial zone, which makes it more confounding. So I just want to find out what you have found out about that, because I guess I have a growing concern that whether or not they should be an industrial park?
It's a fair question. I think generally across the US, what industrial parks were initially created for were these very large industrial facilities with walking space and area for people to kind of roam in between their office buildings. The macro environment post-COVID has shrunk the need for that. So many towns still have industrial parks, but they're changing the zoning within that because they're trying to get utilization and tax revenue from those uses. And the zoning just no longer fits what people's needs are. So there was a request here, should we consolidate industrial park and industrial? And the theory was, no, let's keep them separate because industrial park, we can put a whole lot more constraints around our requirements. And so that's kind of where I fell with both BESS and the data centers, because we could not only add the constraints within the facilities themselves, but we can put them in an industrial park where there's really just a few of those in our town. And so we limit the wide range of scope. Like we don't have the zoning for noise, or I mean, we have noise, but like odor and all of those things in our industrial zone right now. But if in this instance where we can change industrial park, add the other kind of, what do we call them? Sorry, I keep calling them constraints, performance standards. The noise, the vibration, the odor, and the emissions, then it puts a little bit more power in the town of Southborough to control what can go in. Not so much with BESS because it's a Dover Amendment use. So it can really go anywhere it wants to, but we're saying, okay, we're going to put it in industrial park. That's a question for the planning board. I mean, I'm also fine to put it into industrial. The BESS that was in front of ZBA is an industrial, correct?
I think yes.
Yeah, so I'm just asking the question because, yeah, just, as we're planning these, obviously we're focused on industrial park, but, maybe next we'll focus on industrial. And I'm just wondering, have we taken a look at really what is the best place for these? And you have. So I think it's very good that you've mentioned that. It's not to say I still don't have concerns, but I do want to ask about the noise, the wording that you have in the section of the bylaw right up front.
Yep, I'm going to pull it up for
the noise.
Yep.
What does it actually mean? Because when we, the town went through the noise bylaw process, there was like I think there were a number of members that reached out to police and fire and stuff. That they're not going to have, my understanding was at that time, they didn't feel like they wanted to be carrying around some kind of meters to measure decibels. So it was more like audible from the property line. And that is a little bit at odds with what the Board of Health and the Mass Boards of Health, use this Mass Department of Environmental Protection. So what does this mean in terms of noise to you?
So in general, it would require a third party to come in and measure a baseline noise. And for the developer or whoever would be putting in anything in there that we would have concerns over a noise, for them to generate that their noise doesn't exceed the baseline measure.
Okay. And these are chronic, what they call standing noises. So it's not like you're going to hear it one day and then somebody shows up with a meter and it's gone. So yeah, I just wanted to check in with you on that. And again, I like these performance standards for this section. I think that what I would like to know personally is, with BESS and with data centers, where are other towns putting them? And in towns like ours, where they have both industrial park and industrial, and trying to sort out, just like we're doing, trying to sort out like where we're going to, how we're going to modernize and things like that. Are they choosing one location because it's by a highway, or it's, like I think Northborough has a data center. I'm pretty sure that's an industrial, and it's by the highway. So, is that a consideration? I just want to make sure that, 'cause we anticipate a lot of people using this. The more uses we're bringing in, we anticipate people using it. So you wouldn't want people going shopping and having, doing various different things and having lunch and just having this massive hum. That's the kind of like what I'm envisioning. So I need to be talked out of it a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, and I think for best, to my knowledge, the best facilities don't have the hum. It's not those energy producing facilities, the battery energy systems. It
Okay.
is the data centers.
Okay.
And data centers, like right now, as I said, like yes, there are smaller data centers. They mostly look for stable places that can contain electricity. So it's not necessarily whether it's near a highway, but they want to be able to make sure that the grid won't go down because it's serving up, the population around it. At least that's what I've understood. And like to be honest, most of like America's farmland right now is being converted to data centers, which, is a little worrisome. I don't know what could happen. And I guess that the thought here is it's better to have something that we feel comfortable that we can control whether a data center can come in or not on our bylaws versus them just coming in, negotiating with select board and having it done is what we're seeing in every community, that it's just getting done without any zoning bylaw.
Yeah, good. No, thanks for going all of this with me. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thanks for reading.
Yeah. That's all I have. Thank you.
Let me stop sharing. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Braccio.
Thank you. So I had a brief conversation with Attorney Buckley. He couldn't be here tonight. And I just wanted to share, I tried to take notes. He talked, I listened, obviously. I didn't want to try to impart anything outside of a public hearing. So a couple of the things I had made a note of that I thought I would share with the board was the reason that he suggested the 50,000 square feet by right. And because he said that's actually a really big building. And when you allow something bigger, there's always unintended consequences that you might not see by it. And he said 50,000 square feet is a very good size. And it just makes sense to do anything more and allow a little bit more restriction, if you will, through the special permit process. So that was kind of the point he made on that. One of the interesting things I thought he said was, and I guess I should first off start by saying that he wasn't doing this on behalf of Atlantic, his firm. He's as he put it, a zoning nerd. And this is what he likes to do, the policy and stuff. So he said one of the things to keep in mind is when companies like in Colorado, I think he said, when they're looking to put a new facility or something somewhere, they search keywords when they go through zoning, and there's certain things. So he said to pay attention to, as we're doing the zoning changes, to pay attention to that. I will say, Marnie, he said the best part of the bylaw was the database, the data centers. He thought that was actually the best part, and he did ask me to share that with you. He thought it was very well done, very well done.
So I can be a lawyer in my next life.
There you go. And then one of the things he did mention too is to think about like a contractor's yard. He said, if you're looking to bring like into the industrial park, some very solid and good businesses, he said to think about maybe if there's a way to restrict that to like the back of an industrial zone, because, you want some, a long-term company to come in and if their view is a contractor's yard with, there's not a whole lot of conditions and, site views and everything. So he said to think about that. And he mentioned dealerships as well. And why I think he put in his suggestions that be by special permit. I think he did that. Yeah, is this appropriate or desired? And his concern on that was it's a lot of lighting as well. And I know, Marnie, that's your concern as well. The lights would be on all the time, and typically one dealership, if you look around the country, there's usually more than one dealership around a dealership. It's like a conglomerate. So he said just to think about that. Yeah, he said that the point should be to improve and the ease, and he thinks that, we're on the right path, absolutely, to do that. He would hope some of his suggestions could be taken in. That being said, in talking about data centers, read an article the other day about this 86-year-old gentleman in Pennsylvania. I don't know if anybody saw this. He was great. He had 200 and some odd acres. He wanted to keep it for farming. He was offered $15 million by a data center group, and he ended up selling it to a conservation group for 1.9 million because he thinks it's so important that we're losing the farmland and for the ecology and everything else. But anyway, just thought that was a really interesting thing. So I'm supportive of the 50,000. Also the setbacks, Marnie, as well, that you talked about. I'm definitely supportive of those. I don't know if I'm the best, as Mimi said, if that's allowed, but we certainly should check into that. And and I would hope that we would just, everybody has a chance to just look through. I mean, it's free legal advice, as you said, Marnie. And I think there were some good suggestions in here as well from Attorney Buckley. And obviously, Marnie, you could reach out to him if you had questions, or, if there's time for him to come in. He said, he would be more than happy to do that. But he just, he thinks there's a great opportunity here. And he just thinks that, this is the right step. And so thank you.
I think you said me, Marnie, Mimi, so I'll go. So two questions, one question and one comment. The 1,000-foot setback, was that a number based on what other areas are doing, or was that a number because it was like that? You're muted.
Sorry.
Marnie.
Yeah. So in the 1,000-foot, so I saw two articles, and then I saw an ABC News show on data centers, and the woman's home was 1,000 feet from the data center, and you could literally hear it. And so I think that's what it was one of the old provisional data centers. It's not the ones that are being built now that do have a little bit more constraint around their how they handle noise. But that was the thing that said, okay, because I was originally thinking 500 feet or something that we think about with buffers. And then when I saw some of those articles on the 1,000 feet, it made the hair go back on my neck, and I wouldn't want to be near a data center and hear that.
Okay, no, that helps because I just didn't want the 1,000 to be like capricious, like, hey, 1,000 sounds good. But because it did seem far. I would have gone 500 also, but when you gave those examples, it's something that's tangible to hold on to. Like, so that makes sense. That was my one question. My one comment is, I'm not super excited about us landing on going from 50, going up to 75, and now potentially going back down to 50 for special permit. I certainly take the comments that you relayed, Lisa, from Bob Buckley about 50,000 being a non-trivial size, and I get it. I was just doing some searching to figure out, like, to get an example, much like my comment a moment ago, to like what is 50 KSF, what is 75 KSF, to really kind of wrap my head around it. And like, I know, for an example from prior work, like a good size Stop and Shop, like the upper end ones, the bigger ones, those are around 75 to 80 KSF, right? Now, I know we're not going to put that in here, right? Because it's a Costco, but just to get your mind to wrap yourself around a rectangle that might be that size. Other things in the 50 to 75 KSF range are a mid-size office building. We'll never see that in our lifetime. A neighborhood retail center, mid-box retail store, not big box, smaller flex industrial building, limited service hotel. So I understand that we don't want to put in or permit anything to go in that's too big without us having some sort of commentary on it, right? And that's the threshold that we're talking about, like by right or as of right compared to special permit. I think it's fair to say that if a Costco is going in like it is now, it will be the anchor on that site for whatever else goes there. Even if nothing else goes there, it is a draw. Hopefully it would consider other like uses to go nearby. So just rounding out my thought is, we were okay with 50. We got ourselves okay with 75. I don't see a need to bring it back down to 50. I do appreciate the comments, but I don't think we really need to bring ourselves back down to 50.
Um,
You have a hand
I,
up?
I'm talking now. The chair gets to go. So I really appreciate the comments from Attorney Buckley. There's some interesting things in there. I mean, he has more experience in this area certainly than I do, and if he thinks that 50 is really large and we're opening the door to some unintended consequences at 75, I would be inclined to agree with him on that, but we'll see where the rest of the board lands on that. So he had some like just language fixes that I think that I'm fine with. And added under the performance standards, excessive flashing or bright light, refuse material are prohibited. I think that's good. And he added some more uses: office, creative workplace, and brewery, distillery, winery. Does anyone have any thoughts on those?
Supportive.
Like the
Yeah.
winery.
Well, I know everyone wanted a brewery downtown. It's like, yeah, that's never happening, but it could happen in Industrial Park. That's a possibility.
Maybe he also, I'm not sure which section exactly, but he also defined laboratory a little bit because we were opening up. I haven't read specifically the wording, but just if I could add, I do appreciate that he put biosafety level, excluding biosafety level 4, that's anthrax. I've worked with BSL-4 before. It's not something we want in Southborough. There's one in Boston, BU, when it was a lot of commotion. I would suggest we exclude BSL-3. That's coronavirus, tuberculosis, plague, and some other nasty things that nobody
So
would know.
where is that in the bylaw?
So he added, am I looking at his copy? Sorry, hang on. I think
Fourth page, number 6.
Is it in manufacturing?
Yeah, it's under special permit D. I
Oh,
think that's what
laboratories,
you're
life
talking about.
science. Oh,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
sorry, I wasn't exactly following you in the right place, but I just to add that I look forward to reading his comments because that is a really good one.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely something that you would have more expertise than I would.
Yes, I mean, it just
Colleen,
shows
keep going. It's on the next page. Sorry.
Oh, this is Marnie. Sorry.
Marnie, I'm sorry. There it is.
There
Number
it
6.
is.
No, I
Sorry.
just appreciate that he is, protecting us in this way because there are some things that, obviously maybe he's encountered and we are opening it up to biotech, but we should be limiting it to, not the nasty things. So I appreciate
So
that.
were there other things that you wanted to add other than biosafety level 4, BL4? Was there something else that you said?
Well, so for me specifically, I'd like to say BSL-3 and BSL-4. Those are just code names for the different types of, World Health Organization biothreat agents. And so when we're talking about biothreat, I wouldn't want BSL level 3 or 4. So specifically, I was
Okay.
reading this, I would say 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't had the time to look at the others. I support
I didn't either.
some of these other things that he's mentioned with the brewery and that sort of thing.
And then the other thing was contractor's yard. You questioned whether that should be a special permit. I know most towns either prohibit or have those as special permits because they can
Yeah, I think the special permits make sense. I think seeing the contractors' yards that have gone up, maybe a little bit more
yeah.
oversight would be nice.
Yeah. Okay. So I agree with that too. Does everyone else?
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
if
then
I could just chime in
the
on this.
battery energy storage systems. So as I said, that's a Dover use, would have to ask council if we can create higher setbacks than are in the zone. And I think they're allowed anywhere, which is the point of Dover. I think the Board of Health has the real authority over these and not really zoning, because it's a Dover use, so our hands are kind of tied, but it's good to have what we have there. But I think it would be good to ask council how far we can go on that. And the other thing he asked about a special permit was auto sales. The other thing that he said about auto sales is if people are doing test drives on cars, they're not staying on Route 9, they're driving down, neighborhood roads. So it can.
I mean, this could be eliminated or go to special permit. I have no, do we need any more of these in town in the industrial park? They're already allowed in the industrial, right? And the business districts.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
And I don't know if they're huge, well, maybe personal property with all the cars, but I don't know how big a tax haul they are. But so that's something to think about. And we talked about and then he's added a lot more guardrails for light manufacturing, I think is good. And laboratories we talked about. Oh, and the other question was to go to 4 stories. 60 feet, 4 stories.
I'm not supportive.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're expanding. I guess my view is we're expanding so many of these uses. I'm not supportive of 4 right now, and I'm also not, I am supportive to go back down to 50,000. I mean, I think when we were looking and starting out, we had just the list, we said, okay, we've got to go bigger and bigger. And now we've gone broader, so I'd like to first see, is this going to make a big impact? We can always add that stuff later or revisit, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying I appreciate that he's giving us this, this feedback. I'd prefer 50,000 and not do 4 stories.
Yeah, okay. I agree on those 2 points also.
With respect to the comment, we can always go back. I mean, we've had night watchmen in there and we're now just first updating it. So it's not like we can just, on a dime next week, go back and change it. So.
Well, we can.
But we
Because it
haven't.
wasn't doesn't mean that we can't. I mean, we just passed ADU in the fall and we're changing that.
Kudos to us, which is great.
Yeah.
Kudos to our town for voting with the measure that we need, for sure.
I agree with Debbie. I think we're making enough broad changes here that for me, staying with the 50,000 just makes sense until we kind of see where it potentially could go. Though I understand, Alan, the point you're making on keeping it at 75, but I think there's a lot to take in and a lot of changes in this right now.
Yeah, and it's great. I really appreciate it, Marnie. There's so much good work that went into this.
Agreed. There's a lot here.
The night watchmen are going to be very disappointed, though. Any other comments from the board on this? I see Kristen LaVault has her hand raised.
Thank you, Mimi. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
First, I also want to thank Marnie and all of you for really a very educational meeting. I haven't listened to all of them, so I have a couple questions, probably directed at you, Marnie, or whomever.
I'm sorry,
I,
Kristen, can you just introduce yourself
oh,
first
yes, yes. I'm
for
sorry, Kristen.
for our
Yep.
note
Yeah, my
minute
apologies.
taker? Thank you.
Kristen Laval, 12 Southwood Drive, speaking as a citizen. So again, thank you. And I by no means am an expert on data centers. I will say that I agree with much of what Debbie raised, so I won't repeat that. But I have a specific question. There's a difference between an AI data center and a data center. High level, and I'm taking this directly from something I'm reading, energy consumption comparison. AI data centers are designed to handle complex workloads associated with artificial intelligence. This leads to energy consumption that can be 4 times higher than that of traditional data centers, which primarily support standard enterprise applications. Also, that, obviously this is in the news often, and many other towns have fought against data centers. I think to Marnie's points may be much larger, but an AI data center can exist as small as 10,000 square feet, from what I understand. Residents who fought back, noted enormous amounts of electricity and water, offering few permanent jobs in return. They can increase utility costs, strain public infrastructure, and tie up land for low activity uses. And the public benefits, which are usually around tax revenues or tech sector prestige, are less immediate or tangible for those living nearby. There's other environmental concerns, the noise. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I think what this comes down to, especially for an AI data center, is not one size fits all. And I think a lot of work is needed before we include an AI data center. Not to mention, I think there's people who have growing ethical concerns around AI in general by the day as new stories and use of this data comes out and the cost. So my first question, I've got 2, is whether or not we can exclude AI data centers. And I think the only other thing I want to clarify as a question is that, you're mentioning, well, special permit would be needed, but my concern is that takes this very big decision out of the town's hands and into the hands of a very select few, where we know the interests or where they live or anything can impact a specific member's opinion. So again, my question is, can we exclude AI data centers or talk about them further? What kind of analysis would be needed? Can we do that before we include it to see if that is a good location for it? Because quite frankly, and please don't take this personally, but special permits make me nervous because it takes the town out of the decision. And lastly, I just want to echo what I think others have been saying, and that's we're going really big on this fairly quickly. And I mentioned this last time, I'm just worried that we're swinging the pendulum way too quickly in the opposite direction. We all want growth. We all want taxes, but we need to be careful to avoid unintended consequences. And I just think, especially in the world of AI data centers, that's one of them. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Kristen.
you. Go ahead, Marnie.
Thanks, Mimi. Thanks, Kristen. So by any chance, do you have a screen up, Kristen?
I don't, Marnie. I'm working up
Okay.
notes.
So I have on screen there are a couple things I just
no,
want to
I'm sorry. Yes, I have your screen up. My apologies.
Okay. Perfect. So a couple things to address. So data centers, unfortunately, do include AI data centers, and that's primarily what's driving like 90% of the growth and the infrastructure build right now. So this is intended to be able to protect our community as we think about those data centers. So the first thing is the special permit would be in the planning board's hands. So it would still allow us to be the deciding body regarding whether a data center would get that special permit. As proposed, that's what this says, is this would be used by special permit by the planning board. We define what that is, and this it's kind of got a very robust definition and what can and cannot be included in there. And I would just draw that what we ask for is very specific around before putting these types of things in, that there would be requirements. I think I would increase the setbacks based on the feedback from this board today to 1,000 feet from abutting residential districts. But there's a whole process around public notification engagement requirement that the proponent would have to post signs, that all the conditions would be required and what would be able to grant. And there's very, very, while they're a big list, it gives a lot of power to the planning board to deny the special permit. So we include the public utilities and infrastructure, like reasons that we would say no and feel protected. And this is obviously town council would need to opine on this. Energy use and emissions. This is where I would like to try and be able to, in addition to the public utilities, frame something around that so the taxpayers aren't burdened for this should it come in or we do approve it. The water use and cooling, noise, vibration, air quality, traffic. Is this? Yeah, this is my thing. No, this is not my scan. This is the old version. Sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm showing the other attorneys.
That's okay. And Marnie, I mean, I so respect all this analysis, and I expect this is not knocking that whatsoever. It was, again, a question. It's unfortunate we can't distinguish between AI data centers and data centers. I guess, is that even a possibility? We just can't?
I mean, you could. The other data centers that are built are primarily like data warehouses, but
Right.
generally now it's all, most of that is being generated by AI. So
Okay.
I'm going to
I
say
guess I'll,
no.
yeah. And I guess I'll just say, look, we have a great board right now. If we're learning anything, you're not going to, you won't be here forever. And unfortunately, we could have a completely different board. And I do worry about leaving such an important decision to a small group of people, and not just about AI data centers, to be honest with you. It does make me a little nervous that this is so broad and special permits can be granted for right now such a broad use that I'm like, are we putting ourselves in a position where something unintended may happen? And then we're trusting, a future planning board, which unfortunately in government, not your government, but in our greater government these days, there's a little bit of an issue there. So that was my only consideration. And again, I think ethically there's questions coming up about that use in general. So I just wanted to raise those considerations and ask those questions. I do respect and thank all of you for the discussion and efforts.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. I think it matters that the public voice is heard, and I hear you. And I think like we just wanted to be proactive and have something to react to versus nothing at all, where we're seeing that's what's happening in a lot of towns, and they're literally being bullied into putting these things in.
100%.
Thank you. So who is next? Mr. Litt?
Right. Tim Litt, Woodland Road. Couple of comments. I guess I'll start on the data center thing. As far as trying to attack utility pricing, I think that's a lost cause. The Department of Public Utilities is what controls our relationship to the electric companies and that. What I did do, and Marnie just quoted it, is talk about the electric load, the need for newer expanded substations or transmission facilities. That's an indirect way of getting at it. And what we were trying to do in drafting this was to look at the things that impact the town rather than trying to get inside a technology which is going to change and is notoriously difficult. I mean, there are law firms who spend their whole lives worrying about how do you define things, and I think the best way to do it is what we did, which is to say what are the things that impact the town. If you have to add transmission towers or substations or that sort of thing, that's what causes energy prices to rise, and that's the sort of thing that takes up space and impacts the town. So that's the way I would go at that. wouldn't tilt at the windmill of trying to fight DPU over who gets control over pricing. I'll also point out that this is an issue at the state level. Our governor has spoken up on it. Our representatives have spoken up on it. I think we should let them do their thing. In terms of, well, what kind of data centers? I personally, and I've run things little d, little c data centers, which I tried to distinguish from the ones we're talking about in the definitions. But I can't distinguish an AI data center from a cloud data center, right? I mean, an AI data center is just a whole bunch of computers that today compute large language models, and tomorrow will do the next big thing in AI, which also will have its bubble, and we'll see how far it actually goes. And I don't think that controlling the location has any ethical thing. It's computes are computes, and they're going to be where they are. As far as the location, there are really two things I think that are going to drive locations. One is available space, and the other is available network connectivity. They need network connectivity, and the cloud data centers especially need network connectivity. I mean, you talk about a gigabit connection to your home being crazy. These are measured in tens and hundreds of terabits, and so you have to get very close to the network backbone, which fortunately I think runs down 495. As far as noise from battery energy facilities, I suspect that there is the potential for considerable noise because they have to run HVAC, cooling at sort of the same kind of levels as data centers do. And this was discussed in the presentation by the guy from Board of Health, that consultant meeting. So I wouldn't downplay the potential noise questions. And finally, in terms of what do you do about bio safety and bio levels? I think that's probably not. I don't. That zoning is the place to deal with it. The Board of Health is the place to deal with it because they have the power to deal with it. They have the expertise to deal with it. And if you look at kind of the issues that happened in Cambridge and in Boston around a biolevel 4 facility, it was the boards of health that actually were able to do something about it. I don't think it's in the expertise of zoning, and I also think that it's that science needs to be able to have the tools it needs to investigate and to help us stay healthy. And while there are a whole bunch of things you have to do in order to have a level 3 or a level 4 facility, those are pretty well known and ought to be managed by that technology in the same way that I don't expect zoning to tell me what kind of computers to build. So I think that's my comment for the evening. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Litt. You wanted to respond, Mr. Murray?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I agree. I understand what Mr. Litt is saying. I do think it's in our purview to keep residents safe. And so honestly, the BSL-3 facilities are largely at universities also. It would be very, very unlikely that a facility that's doing work on, tuberculosis is going to come to Southborough, but it's possible. So I think it's within our right to say we want to keep people safe, residents safe, and that we can zone for that. So I would and I think, we can talk to Mr. Buckley about why he put in BSL 4. But my bar is a little bit lower, and I would prefer to keep in BSL 3. I think it's fine from a perspective of what Attorney General or something would say. So as long as we have the right to do that, that would still be my preference.
Well, I will just add one other thing. My mother was a PhD biochemist, and among other things, worked on TB. So I mean, I've been in labs, where this work is done under various standards, and the amount of oversight that's there makes me comfortable that there's the right balance between protecting the people in the lab, the people in the in the environment of the lab, and the ability to do science.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Ms. Gillespie.
Hello. I'm a little late to the party, but something on the very first sheet Marnie had up, I had a question on. I believe it was the attorney that you gave some advice. Okay, it was under uses permitted by right. No, not there. But that was part of my comment. It says all uses permitted by the Conservation District. Where did you have the sheet that said something about the watchman?
That's what's in the current IP district.
So that wasn't what so that was my question. I thought that was what the attorney was saying. Marnie, you're muted.
Yes, I am. Thanks. It's like that.
I thought that was what the attorney was suggesting you put back in.
No. That was what I had showed earlier in the night was a compare contrast to the IP zoning bylaw. He consolidated some language, but he didn't keep that language in.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't understand what the sheet was. So does all uses in the there was something that was a conservation use that was an allowed use, and that's not in there anymore. But does that statement that was just there, all uses in the Conservation District, cover that? That was my concern.
I guess I might not ask your question. So that all uses permitted in the Conservation District carried over from the old IP bylaw in town code.
So my concern is the specific language that is not in the new bylaw relating to conservation. It was in the line in the old bylaw, I guess, with a watchman.
All right, let me just open that up quickly. I'll just look at town code real quickly. Zoning.
Was it a sheet you had shown on the screen, the first one you showed?
Yeah, it was like a layman's summary. So it wasn't the exact language. I'm pulling that up right now.
So the layman's summary is what I'm talking about, though.
Yes. So what I'm sharing is the actual code. So we've removed dwelling on the premises for a night watchman or janitor.
But if you can go to the sheet with the layman's terms, it had, with the night watchman, you had something about conservation use, and then that was removed on the new one. And I just wanted to understand why.
So it's all uses permitted in the Conservation District, and it was in the old one, and it's continued into this one.
And I understand that, and that's great, but I'm not sure what the specific language. See, by right uses, conservation uses.
Oops.
Right?
But that's the Conservation District, I think.
So that wasn't a specific use now taken out of the new one. It's just these other ones are added in.
Correct. And this, again, it's layman's terms. Like, to be honest, I like this, we removed the employee watchman dwelling. So it's really just a quick update. It's got to be refined for the deck that I will share with town meeting. But this was just more of a general overview of what's happening with the bylaw.
So the way I looked at it was that all of those old-fashioned things were being removed. And on the right-hand side, it said nothing about conservation uses. So I thought that was no longer a by right use, even though that other language isn't identified here. So you're saying it's not taking those uses out.
No, and I'll show
Okay.
you the bylaw too.
No,
Just
I saw
Oh,
the old
okay.
and I saw the new. I just thought this was something different that was being removed that would not allow.
Yeah,
So
sorry
thank you
for
for
the
that.
confusion. Yeah,
And
nope, don't want to confuse people. So thank you.
then I had another question. And maybe it's like I said, I haven't done my deep read into this. I'm actually here for another hearing that started at 7, so I caught this and thought I'd weigh in. In the uses, you have hotels and there's warehousing. Can we warehouse people? Can it conceptually what they're doing now in across the country is buying old
Oh,
warehouses and putting people in them and making
yes.
detention centers? Is that I don't know that you can not allow the feds to come in and do that, but is that an allowed use?
No, but I think it's very worthwhile to write something explicit in there that says no human warehousing allowed, no detention centers.
No prison centers, no detainment centers. I mean, I know that's political, but look at the location and if it's something you want, there's one that just went in or is going in and they're building it in like, you know what it takes to do a home remodel. They're building it in something crazy like 60 or days or less from a warehouse and it's next to a school. And just potentially you have hardened criminals and rapists and child molesters being warehoused right next to a school. Makes no sense. Although I think mostly it's children that are being warehoused, but I could be wrong. Anyhow, I would
Point taken.
I don't know how you deal with that because it could be seen as a political issue. I'm not addressing it I'm looking at it as a safety and human rights standards issue. So
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
thank you. Let me lower my hand.
Any more questions or comments?
I'd just like to point out that Lisa Braccio did submit Mullins forms for the public hearings that are being heard tonight. All 4 of them. I failed to mention that at the beginning.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. So is that it for this for now?
I make a motion to continue the public hearing for Industrial Park District Expanded Uses Bylaw to March 9th at 7 p.m.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Latrell, yes.
Leanne, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Braccio, yes.
Elniak, yes.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing, 55 plus housing bylaw update. Do you want to take this, Marnie?
Sure. So, thank you, Mimi. So, after our last public hearing, we heard from some constituents of our town, and we heard you loud and clear. And we spoke, Mimi, Karina, myself, and Ellen Myra from the Affordable Housing Trust spoke, and we had decided that we would like to move this off as a bylaw. There is more work to do, and we wanted to make the right decision for the town, and we did not want any unintended consequences from not putting the right amount of time up front. That being said, we had worked together since October of last year to pull together some zoning that would update the regulation. But I think that there was enough concern raised that I think it does warrant additional public hearings and public comment. And we wanted to let the town know that we will be removing it as a bylaw on the April. When is our town meeting?
Well, if the board agrees.
If the board agrees, yes. So we need to certainly ask the board if they are comfortable with withdrawing the bylaw.
And
Ellen's on.
can we bring over Ellen for her comment?
Can I just add one thing too, Mimi? Marnie, the chances are there's going to be a fall town meeting, so it's something if we keep working on that, you know, may be able to be done then as well.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Ken, happy 47 days of February vacation.
Oh my gosh, it just never ends. I just need to go back to school. Yes. Sorry. Other than that, thank you, Marnie, for that overview. I think that's a great summary of the conversation we had with Mimi and Karina, and yeah, have put in, as you said, a lot of time on this already, and we'll continue to put more time in so that we get it to a place where we, the planning board in full, the community is happy with it. And so that's what led to the request to the planning board to hold off on having this for the April town meeting.
Thank you, Ellen. Mr. Maria.
Thank you. And thanks for all the work, you guys. I don't think any work is lost. It just gets kind of moved around. So I'm sure, you can pick up the pieces and start thinking about things in a different way. Thank you to Ms. Gillespie for her really thoughtful comments. I would just like to say, I really do think that we should look at towns that have inclusive zoning. And when I looked at that originally, because I wasn't a fan of over 55, and I thought I mentioned several times the state's moving away from that, and I'm trying to understand it too. If you look up towns that have put together warrant articles, some have passed and some haven't passed. It's controversial, but the main reason they do it is because of the location, is they're trying to define their town by where they will allow what they call inclusive zoning. So I'm all for looking at things, and I think that would be my suggestion, is to take a look at towns that are doing things in a little bit differently. I don't see towns expanding the cap on over 55. I do see that's considered exclusive zoning. I do see inclusive zoning, and I'd like to understand it a little bit more, but I would suggest that we take a look at some of these towns and see. And some of them have not been successful also. So I think there's a lot of learning in there, and we'll find the right fit for Southborough. So I agree to remove the zoning, the warrant article for now. So thanks for the work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Brascio.
Thank you. Thank you, Marnie and Ellen, for bringing this forward and starting a conversation that really needed to be had. I appreciate the work that you've done. I hope that we can continue it. And as well, thank you to Ms. Gillespie and watching the meeting. She did bring up a lot of valid points, that I think can help make this better as we move forward. So thank you.
And Mr. Belniak.
Not much new, other than what my other colleagues have said. I agree that the work is not lost. We just need some reshaping a little bit. So it does seem like that people are generally in favor of modernizing it. So that's good. We just need to modernize it the right way. So that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, and as we all know, zoning is complicated. It's difficult to get through town meeting. This would have been a 2/3. Once something fails, it's tainted and difficult to bring back. So I think this is the right move to make sure that we get it right. And just to so I understand your point, Debbie. So a lot of towns have like exclusionary zoning bylaws that are kind of an overreaching, affordable requirements that touch all different sections of their bylaw. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about having a bylaw that doesn't just involve over 55?
Yeah, I don't see any other town expanding their over 55. So I'm not suggesting that that's the best way for Southborough to go. But I think that we should look at not just the over 55. So it's coming up with like what is the goal we're trying to achieve? Is it affordable housing? Is it something more for seniors? Is it something more for families? And then looking for the best, um, you know, uh, pathway for that. So for towns that are kind of struggling with this, from my understanding, is they are looking at inclusionary zoning and trying to figure out where around town would be the best location for multifamily housing, affordable housing, and it's bigger. It's a bigger holistic view of the whole thing. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. It's not just to bring back the over 55, but to kind of
Oh, I
open
see.
it up a
So
little bit.
inclusionary in that it's not just over 55. There's not that.
That's my suggestion, but I'm
Okay,
not part
all
of
right.
this.
I just, because
they made the
inclusionary
change.
zoning is a whole separate thing, and I was just trying to understand what.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else with any other questions or comments on this?
No hands raised, 6 attendees.
Okay.
So, Mimi, I am gonna make a suggestion that I close the public hearing, or do we have to make a roll call vote to withdraw the bylaw?
I think we can just close the hearing, can't we, Karina?
I think you could combo it. You should say you're closing it and kind of withdraw. I think you should say both, just for the record, that you want to withdraw it, but you're closing because you can close the public hearing and vote for it and support it at town meeting. You want to define why you're closing it and then for what, and also withdraw it.
Yeah, so
The
do you want to
warrant
just,
article.
to be clean, take a vote to withdraw it and then take
Yeah.
a vote to close the hearing?
Perfect.
Okay.
So I make a motion to withdraw the 55 plus housing bylaw I make a
Warrant
motion
article.
to withdraw the 55 plus housing bylaw from the April town meeting warrant.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brashear, yes.
Nomiak, yes.
I make a motion to close the public hearing for the 55 plus housing bylaw.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brashear, yes.
Nomiak, yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing, MBTA Communities Overlay District Bylaw Dimensional Table Correction.
Okay, I'll give a quick update.
Great, thank you.
All right, it's the least I can do. So the current version is January 27th, 2026, from Marnie, and it was submitted to the select board. I just want to reiterate that Lisa Braccio did file a Mullins form for the missed hearing on the February 9th. So nothing has really changed on this warrant article. The legal ad specified specifically just the 2 rows D and E of the dimensional standards table in the MCOD district, so that we remove the word or from under maximum height and the percentage symbol under E maximum floor area. So we're still in good shape. This seems pretty straightforward. Knock on wood.
Good. Ms. Wood.
Sure. So I'm going to just share it because I think it's always easier to speak to when it's up on screen.
Oh, thank you.
So the article is to see if the town will vote to delete lines D and E from the existing table located in the zoning code of Southborough and replace with the new D and E. So again, I want to say thank you to Miss Gillespie because she was the one who kind of pointed this out in our conversation. So, perhaps you want to be running for planning board sometime soon and join this wonderful family we have here. Basically, if you can see on screen, the dimensional standards, this at one point said or, and we've replaced the or with a comma on each of the 3 columns. And then this had percent after the 0.30, and so we've removed the percentage sign. And so that's all that we're doing in this bylaw, and we're hoping that it will be part of the moderator's what's that word?
Consent.
Consent.
Thank you. It's one of those days.
Okay.
Mr. Murray?
Oh, thanks, Marnie. Straightforward. I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Ms. Braccio?
No comments either. Thank you.
Mr. Belniak?
Same, no comments.
And I have no comments, very straightforward. This was the intention of the bylaw. And again, thank you to Ms. Gillespie for pointing out this transcription error. It seems pretty straightforward, so hopefully it won't be an issue. Is there anybody with any questions or comments on this?
6 attendees, no hands raised.
Okay. You ready to move on?
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry, I lost my I inadvertently closed my agenda, so now I have to just read my agenda again. I apologize. Okay, so I make a motion to continue the public hearing for the MCOD bylaw dimensional table correction to March 9th at 7:05 p.m.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Braccio, yes.
Belniak, yes.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing zoning amendment to replace Shopsy with the Affordable or Southborough Affordable Housing Trust. Because the Southborough Housing Opportunities Committee has been replaced.
Yeah.
Southborough Housing Opportunity Partnership Committee? Is that what Shopsy was?
Mm-hmm.
Has been replaced with the Southborough Affordable Housing Trust. Anything to update us on that, Karina?
Yes, just to be clear that the current draft is version 3 dated February 11th, 2026 that Marnie prepared, and we received feedback from town council regarding questioning what would be the appropriate name in the warrant article for the Affordable Housing Trust. And he indicated that you can use either Affordable Housing Trust or Southborough Affordable Housing Trust interchangeably, and you can refer to the Board of Trustees as the particular bylaw provision may require. So that it was pretty open as to the proper language. So in my opinion, it looks good the way it is, but others may think differently.
Thank you, Ms. Houlihan.
Excellent. So like always, it's nice to see it versus talk about it. So the article is essentially replacing Southborough Housing Partnership Committee, SHOPC from Town Code, replaced with the Board of Trustees of the Southborough Affordable Housing Trust, SAHT. And so this is where we had it was just in a couple areas, and then Mimi went looking and she found it in about 18 more. So we keep finding these things. And so hopefully this is fully baked now. The establishment terms, Chapter 916, it's used in two designated spots. Major residential development, it's in quite a lot. Mimi, thanks for finding those. And so we've basically called out all of the areas where that change is happening. And then I think that was it, right? Do we have establishment terms? Oh, I think that might be twice. Yeah, that might be twice. So this can be eliminated down here because it's up here already. I don't know if people see what I'm looking at. So it's just a duplication, maybe a copy paste error. And so basically all that we're doing, and so this is also something we're hoping to put on the consent agenda, since it literally is a swap out of one name for another, and we're not changing any bylaw. And that's all she wrote.
I think that's a 2/3 though, so I don't think it can go on consent.
Didn't we talk though, the consent is unanimous?
The consent is unanimous, but zoning code is 2/3, except for very specific things, allow a majority, and this isn't one of them.
But isn't unanimous greater than 2/3?
No,
You
not
vote-
unanimous. Oh, that's
Yes.
right. We talked about
We
that.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
If-
I'm
if-
sorry.
yeah. If we need to get a legal opinion before we suggest it, so we don't look like fools, we could do that. But conceptually, it feels like that we should be able to.
Yes, I'm sorry. That happened 2 weeks ago, so
It's all right.
already
I
forgot.
forgetting the word consent. It's okay.
Can you just remind me what the argument there was? Is if the body agrees? No, how does that work? Just if I can't remember.
So he reads a bunch that he will do for consent, which means the voting constituent agrees that they will approve those specific bylaws without discussion, without conversation. So that's the whole house agrees to yes. So that's greater than 2/3 in our mind. But I'll add it to the question I ask around BESS for IP district just to verify. So the belief, Debbie, is since you have the entire house agreeing that yes, these can go through without any questions, no one's going to hold them. And he reads through and he says, these are the ones I'm recommending, but if you have a hold, someone will say hold and he'll pull it out of consent so it can be discussed on the
Oh,
floor.
right. So it's considered the whole body, except if somebody says hold it, then
Mhm.
it's not the whole body. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this happens all the time at like the select board meetings. They have a bunch of stuff. They pull a few things out. Everything else that didn't get pulled gets voted, approved, just makes the meeting go faster.
Mhm.
But to Mimi's point, this is 2/3. So if someone wants to pull it, then that's totally fine. But
Anything else, Mr. Murray?
Oh, no, thanks. No.
Ms. Braccio?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Belniak?
I'm good. Thank you.
Ms. Gillespie?
I could be mistaken, but I thought even after you go through and you pull, you're just approving it in one vote and that people can vote against it. I think we still vote and there may be votes against. I will just check on that because I never heard before you discussed it that the consent was unanimous, because you don't have to vote for it just because it's on the consent. I would just check.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm correct. I don't know, but I know we get to vote on it. And when you get to vote on it, people may not hold an article, but they're going to vote against the consent. I mean, I'm just saying it's not likely, but I would just double check.
Well, so they're voting against everything that's in that consent.
Correct.
Okay.
And you're not going to get a 2/3 vote to vote against everything. I get it, but I would just double check because it's a 2/3 vote.
Yeah.
I think are we? All right, it's fine.
Okay, so I make a motion to continue the public hearing for zoning amendment to replace Shop C with Affordable Housing Trust, SAHT, to March 9th at 7:10 p.m.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Lehan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brascio, yes.
Belniak, yes.
The next item on the agenda is a discussion item, subdivision rules and regulations update. Mr. Belniak.
I've reached out to Karina and Bill to find a time to discuss or get feedback. Just a few days ago, I reminded them that this is going to be on today's agenda. So we tried to find a time where we can meet in person next week because that might facilitate the review. I provided some times and I'm waiting to hear back from Karina and Bill.
You will be hearing back from me tomorrow. I just have to get my calendar. But yeah, Bill and I talked about it because we've been swamped. So we want to really help move this forward. And you've been really trying hard. And we've just been, it hadn't reached, it's not like a high fire. So we've been putting out bigger fires first.
Yep.
Okay.
And Bill's had nothing to do this winter. It's been
so
sunny.
I know that, if I had
Warm.
even suggested that we look at it within the past or next 48 hours, she'd be like, get out of town.
No, understood.
Yeah. But
not for lack of Alan's trying, because he's been trying with us tremendously.
Okay. And then the next item is a discussion item, open space notification education letter. Next up, Ms. Braccio.
Thank you. So one of the things, and it was a great suggestion that was brought up at the last meeting, was to use the GIS to utilize the open space around a subdivision. So it was added yesterday. I did a GIS, and like I said, we wanted to do like a test subdivision. So my suggestion to the board would be using this map included with each letter, sending the map, and sending the deed. And most of those are already done. And I would be happy to arrange getting this done, coordinate with Karina, at least do the one subdivision, see what kind of feedback we get so we can anticipate, as we move on to the other subdivisions. So that's where I'm at. And that's my suggestion. And Marnie, again, thank you for your edits. I think that's the letter that we should be using.
Lisa, do you have a particular subdivision you'd like to start with so I can start mentally preparing?
Yeah, Nathan Stone. That was the one that I did the
sample.
Yep,
Okay.
did the sample of. Yep, exactly. So I figured we would start with that one. It's what do I want to say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it's 9 units.
Okay.
9 lots. So I
9
figured it'd be a
lots.
good start and see what kind of feedback we get before we branch it out bigger like anything else. We try it. We may get some feedback that we may want to tweak things a little bit. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you
And
very
we
much,
should-
Lisa.
We should probably track it in a spreadsheet that
Sure.
they've gone out, what date and all that, so we can maybe try and set something up like that too. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on this? Anybody?
Just a thank you to Lisa. I think it is the whole package is awesome. And I think that whole education process, it's the first step. And I think it's been one of those battles we've faced for so many years, right? And I think it's really nice to see the action, like from concept, a couple of years ago, I think this board talked about it, and it's really nice to actually start to see it in execution. So thank you for taking the steps to do that.
Mimi, can I also add something?
Sure.
Just to update the board. So we did sign a contract with Lucas Environmental to continue updating the deed research database. I circulated that contract to Open Space, to CPC, got several signatures, and that was the $7,800 that was remaining from an article from 2012 that had authorized that work. So that's in the works.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Karina.
You're welcome.
So if there's nothing else on this, any other comments from anybody in attendance on this?
We have 6 attendees, no hands raised.
Okay, so we will move on. Planners report.
Okay. Let me just open my window on this. Okay, so first, I just want to point out that on February 13th, I received an email from the town clerk that Article 1 from the special town meeting of October 2025, which was the highway major retail. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Article 1 was the ADU article. And as Mimi had mentioned earlier, that was approved by the AGO with a deletion of mobile homes taken out. And town clerk will be, if he hasn't already posted it, and that becomes effective the date of that special town meeting. The other, why do I have this confused? It was Article 9. The ADU was the Article 9, but also Article 1, the highway major retail, was approved by the AG office. So both of those are good to go with that minor change on the ADU. The next thing I wanted to point out was we did receive our February 12th report from 4042 Central Street from John Deli Priscoli, required as part of the temporary certificate of occupancy agreement. I circulated that to the board members as well, as that's supposed to be presented to the planning board. And thank you, Marnie, for your assistance with that in reaching out to John Deli. That worked well. Next thing is I received an email and a call from Christine Hung, who's one of the attorneys representing Atlantic Management for the Costco project. And she was asking if I could coordinate a pre-filing meeting for the site plan for the Costco project with department heads. So she asked that perhaps a planning board member or two would be part of that conversation, as well as a select board member and any other board that may be relevant to sit on this in addition to the department heads. So I'll coordinate that, and I wanted to know who on the planning board would like to be the person involved in that pre-filing meeting. If someone was interested in joining that, I'll be there, of course. But if anybody wanted, Lisa?
No, I'd be happy to if no one else wants to. I'd be happy to.
Sure, it'd be very informative, and we can bring that information back to the board. It's just an opportunity for all the departments to give their concerns already and pointers, so that when they come in, they already have addressed a lot of those things. So, okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Asher. Okay. The annual town meeting is April 11th, 2026. There is a special town meeting, as we talked about earlier, on March 2nd, 2026. I believe that's a Monday evening. The annual town meeting is a Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. I did provide some workshops from DOER on the energy storage systems. One was scheduled for tomorrow. They were public information sessions. That's been postponed to the 27th, I believe. But there were two sessions if you're interested in learning more about those energy siting system requirements that are in the works. And then, of course, we have annual elections coming up on May 12th, 2026. You'll see signs all over town.
I want to comment on the annual town election and let the board know that I will not be seeking re-election in May. And I'd like to thank the residents of Southborough for giving me the honor to serve on the planning board, and to express my sincere gratitude to Karina, Colleen, all the members of the board that I have served with. I am sincerely grateful, and I have learned a lot and have been inspired by you all and by your dedication to the town, and I thank you.
Well, you're welcome. All I can say is no.
And that's all we can say too.
Marnie,
Me-
it's been, I mean, Mimi, it's been a pleasure working with you, and I hope that, you'll be around a little while to still provide some input here and there with some history. So thank you. Sorry, Marnie, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, please. Obviously, well deserved. Mimi, obviously, we have a few months ahead of us. This is such sad news, but like liberating for you. I'm really excited that you are able to find time to do other things. You are our walking ebook, like e-code, like you know it all in your head. And I think we all are just so enamored and inspired by your ability to draw out like really rapidly bylaw, everything. You really are like just the walking e-code encyclopedia, and you've been such a joy to work with and to have as chair. You are an incredible set of shoes that would need to be filled, and obviously our planning board will have to figure that out. But I'm really happy for you and really sad for us.
Thank you.
Ditto.
I'll be around for a little while. We plan
I-
on heading up north, so I can't commit to 5 years.
Well, Mimi, I
Can
want
I
to
come
thank
with
you
you?
as well.
Sorry.
I got on the planning board because you were on the planning board, and I have
Oh,
learned
thanks.
so much in the time that I have been on the planning board with you. And I completely agree with Marnie. There is no one that understands the code or knows it better than you and how it all ties back in. So you will be greatly missed. I wish you the best to your future. And also just know I'm still going to call you because I'm still going to have questions. So, but thank you for your service over well over 20 years to the town on open space and stepping up on planning board and all the time that you've served here. So thank you. And it's been a pleasure serving with you for quite a few years.
Thank you. It's amazing. I can't remember anything except for town zoning code.
We'll find something to fill that space.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully, right?
So on to minutes.
Yes. Give me a second. I just have to open up my thing.
Can we approve them though? It's on the agenda. It says none.
Oh,
we
that's
have-
right. No, we can't.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oversight. I didn't see that.
Same here. Neither did I.
We will
Did
carry
I?
that over to the next meeting.
Oops, that's all right. We'll still get in under our time frame, so that's fine.
Okay.
And here's to a very efficient planning board meeting because it's before 9 p.m. That's my bedtime, and I'm thrilled. So I make a motion to adjourn the planning board meeting.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brashear, yes.
Palmiak, yes.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Good
Have a
night.
good
Happy
night.
shoveling.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.